get to Draymond Green audio.
He might be the most unlikable NBA player in 30 years.
Well, he doesn't do himself any favors, does he?
No.
Let's go ahead and do that now.
Yeah. So if you saw it last night,
before we get into hot tape talk, because you got me, you showed me the picture of the tapes.
Yeah.
And let me tell you something. Brittany Fox Girl School is queued up on my Spotify for the next break.
And by the way, in case you were wondering, Brittany Fox is not a female. That is an all-male 80s metal
They were
band.
a hair band. I remember. You don't remember Girl School, that song?
Dude, this thing is bringing so much heat.
At the girl school.
From Brittany Fox to Kingdom Come. Don't even get me started on Hurricane Alice or Striper. Dude, the hits just keep coming in this 80s collection that they have.
Anywho. Do you want to hear it? Let's play it. This was Draymond got his 5th technical.
And some people thought he was going to get ejected and suspended because, once again, he gets the ball stripped from him, and in a shocking development, he has no control over his arms and legs, and he flails his arms for no reason and smacks, I forget who it was, one of the Timberwolves players in the face.
This is Nas Reed.
So he didn't get ejected, but he did get a technical foul, and Steph Curry had to come over and calm him down. And Steph Curry's in street clothes.
Yeah, he always does that, though. He always does something stupid and then flies off the handle
as if
thrown out. As if he's stunned that he got called for. So it's his 5th technical. He's too shy of a 1-game suspension, and here's what he said in the locker room after the game. On the fan.
Brittany Fox.
I thought you had it. I put it on your page.
Oh, okay. Hold on.
I can get to it.
All right, me too. Scrolling.
Not an angry black man. I'm a very successful, educated black man with a great family. And I'm great at basketball. I'm great at what I do. The agenda to try to keep making me look like an angry black man is crazy. I'm sick of it. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
We're sick of you.
It's an agenda.
I love how, by the way, we're decided to throw race into this.
Yeah. That's not a good card to play here.
Really? We're just playing that?
It's not, but this is charged on the heels of, I guess they threw out a fan who was hurling racial epithets, or however you say that.
Epithets.
So what does that have to do with...
He was fired up about race because he was having racial slurs thrown at him that night.
So
it doesn't make his comments right, but that's where that's coming from.
They're trying to make him out to be an angry black man? Yeah, okay, you're just an angry guy. You have more suspensions, more technical fouls. You cost your team an NBA championship by kicking someone in the nuts. Like, what are you talking about?
That was a punch. That was a punch to King James's nuts.
Punch in the D.
Are you trying to defend Draymond Green right now?
No, he's awful.
He is such a dip-ass.
Well, I mean, come on. Of all the people in sports, there isn't one who has a more legitimately deserved reputation than Draymond Green.
He punched a teammate in the face and knocked him out.
So he can frame that however he wants to make himself feel better, but to most of us out there, it's simply based on his own actions.
Yeah, you have earned the reputation you have.
I mean, come on,
it's just absurd to say that somehow the media is shaping it and that you're trying to make they're trying to make you out to be an angry black guy and you're sick of it. Real easy way to shake this, stop getting technical fouls and stop punching people in the nuts and kicking them in the face, and
and there's so many instances, whether it's this one or the 2 that happened in the Rockets series, or the kicking of Steven Adams, or the punching of LeBron James, or the one where he did a spinning back fist on Nurk. I mean, they just keep happening.
It's amazing to me, and maybe he is doing bits, but it truly feels like he thinks that this is what he's saying is true. The lack of self-awareness is shocking.
Well,
it really is.
I'm always amazed that. We were talking about this with Belichick. He did the same thing. Really smart, successful people, sports figures, just anyone. Doesn't have to be sports.
Yeah.
They think the media creates narratives. Like the media does not make up narratives out of thin air. It does not happen. Dude, I'm telling you, we're in media. I understand the disdain for media.
Sure.
I understand the just why media has the reputation that it does. It's not a great one, and a lot of it is brought on by itself. The media certainly leans into more interesting elements or sellable elements of a story.
Sure.
But they're never made up.
No.
It just isn't a thing.
Yeah.
So it always comes from somewhere. Now, you may not like that they pick that part out or that becomes a bigger part of the story. Same thing Belichick was talking about.
Yeah.
But that's not you don't get to control that.
Yeah.
It's amazing how many people try to control that.
I mean, it's like you can't make Steph Curry out to be an angry whatever color man you want because he's not angry. It's just not. LeBron does this. Like there's so many people that do this. Or, you know, where if I'm trying to think, the one that I always enjoyed was at least like with a guy like Charles Barkley. Charles knows that he has flaws. Like, and yes, maybe they are, like you said, disproportionately highlighted versus some of the other things. But when that is a part of your personality, you can't be upset when people report your words and your actions.
I think
and athletes love to do that.
How old is he? They do it all the time. It's amazing that they aren't better schooled in how to handle media, but it just happens all the time. I mean, Buck and I talked about this while you were away with the Belichick thing and what Jordan Hudson was trying to do. Like that was PR not 101.
Yes.
Like how to not conduct PR is how Jordan Hudson is going about business.
Yes.
And that, you know, maybe is understandable because she's 24, it's just no thing.
Yep.
But I was talking about, and I know you can back this up, in our years in media, how many PR firms or PR people or marketing people or sports information directors, all these people that do, you know, kind of the same types of jobs, how many of them operate this way?
Yeah.
It's shocking. It's like 85% of
They don't get it.
They're in the business. It is their job and they don't understand.
And it's you don't get to say what other people are going to think about you and about all of this.
You
Like,
cannot
it's not
control
up to you.
that. It's amazing how many try and they just fail and they look terrible and you look stupid and you look like you're bad at your job. But yet it's like the prevailing way of handling media. It's really unbelievable.
Yes. When you try to control a narrative instead of dealing with the narrative, it always ends up, it's like anything else, any scandal, the cover-up always ends up being worse than what actually happened. And and yet they make a lot of money and people pay a lot of money for these firms to handle them.
I know.
It's shocking.
It really is shocking. The thing I think is going on with Draymond is he's older. He's almost done. I think there are two interesting things about him.
Yeah.
Okay. One is his style of play
Yeah.
and how he helped the Warriors win multiple championships.
Yes.
He is an interesting player for that reason. Two are his intensity. He crosses lines. Those are the two things that are interesting about him. Okay. So why on earth would you be shocked if one of those two things is being highlighted in the media? You're an idiot if you're shocked by that because those are the two things you're known for.
Well, and
hold on. I think he is getting old and almost done. Well, he is getting old. He's almost done, and I think he is really uncomfortable with his reputation as a hothead, and I think it bothers him, and he is now having to come to grips with the fact that, dude, that's going to be a lot of your legacy.
Yeah.
And I think that bothers him.
Well, and what I was thinking along those lines is, and I don't know if you have, you know, parts of this about you. I think we all do, and it's just to varying degrees. I think we all have parts about ourselves that we don't particularly like.
Of course.
Right? And so when someone highlights parts about yourself that you don't like,
bingo.
It hits home a little bit.
So maybe he doesn't like being like this.
And that's
maybe he can't control himself.
And that's kind of where I'm going with this is I think that his anger and the flailing stuff and the technical fouls and I think he just loses it. And you know, if you've ever met anyone that has a temper and that has fought over the years, I mean, I've talked about this on the air. I've worked over the years, and I think you've seen it. I think I've worked hard over the 20 years to control some of my temper and some of my tendencies like that. And when you're in the world of sports, I think sometimes that feeds that flame. You're allowed to get away with it, that you're not allowed to get away with it in regular life. When I played, I had some of that Draymond Green in me. I certainly played with an edge that I don't think is very conducive to real life. But when you get out of sports and you realize that that's not really something that you can get away with in everyday life, you have to really start working towards it. But if you're still, you know, in your 30s and you keep playing sports, you don't really get a chance to deal with that. I'll bet you, a la Barry Bonds and some of the other guys like this, the Bill Lambiers, I'll bet you when Draymond gets away from basketball, I'll bet you really start to see a different side of him. Because I think
he's been on TNT.
Yes, and
he's interesting.
And he does a really nice job. And
he's
I think
a thoughtful guy.
And I think when you remove that aspect from it, I think he will become more comfortable with who he is.
Correct.
I think when you've lived on that edge where you're not the most talented guy and you're not the biggest guy, I think that fire and that edge has fueled him and allowed him to have great success. And yet, I think deep down, he probably hates that side of himself.
Well, I think it bothers him. He knows that he is much deeper and there's more to him than that.
Yes.
But it probably bothers him as you're saying,
That's what
that's what we talk about with him. But dude, it's just like the text said, it's a guy who doesn't want to sleep in the bed that he made.
Yeah.
And,
I always say, oh no, it's the consequences of my own actions.
yeah,
Ah.
exactly. It's
You'd have more respect for it if he owned up and said, like, listen, this is where I am. This is how I play. Sometimes I cross the line. People aren't going to like it. I wish I could do better.
Yeah.
But he's not doing that. He's saying, I'm not like that. That's not me.
Right.
It is. You've
And
shown us.
what Suke is saying is, like, dude, all he has to do, and this is the Charles Barkley thing, all he has to do, and it could take 15 seconds, as long as that clip we played, is say, listen, I know I'm pretty fiery out there. I think it's part of what has helped me succeed. I don't love that about myself. I am working on that, but it's
Flares up.
sometimes I just make mistakes.
Yep.
That's all you have to say.
And it's over.
If you say that, people are like, well, okay.
But I think by doing that, I think you admit that the part of you that you hate is a bigger part than you
Is the thing,
and
yeah.
it's and people struggle with it. Therapy's a hell of a thing, man.